Hello, John Talley here with Partzilla.com. Today I'm going to walk you through the process to change out the front wheel bearing on our 2016 Polaris Ranger 900 XP. Just need to get it lifted up, get that front tire off, get the hub assembly out, and then we'll press out that bearing and push in the new one. So if you're ready, we'll head over to the tool table and discuss the parts and the tools you're going to need to pull this off. So let's go. Welcome to the tool table. This is going to be a skill level 2. Let's go over some of the tools that you're going to need to pull this off. On the basic side, you just want to get sockets ranging from 15 up to 27. A couple of different hammers, side cutters, needle nose pliers, but you will need to pick up a good set of circlip pliers because that one that's holding the bearing in, it can be a bit of a bear to get out of there. As always, a good 3/8 socket or breaker bar, and then I'm actually going to be using two different torque wrenches, one that's more accurate on the low end side and one that can actually go up to 120 foot-pounds. Now, you will need to pick up an entire bearing driver set as well as a socket large enough to where the bearing will fit inside of it. Now, if you would, reference our exploded parts diagrams. That's going to show you exactly where everything is, how it comes apart, and more importantly, how it's going to go back together. So, once you've gone and picked out the parts that you need for your machine and you have your tools assembled, we can go over there and get it done. So let's go. All right guys, before we get it lifted up, I want to go ahead and break loose the lug nuts because they're going to have about 120 foot-pounds on them. Now if this was a steel rim, it would only be 60, but because they're aluminum, they have to go to 120. All right, with that done, we can go ahead and lift it up and get it on a set of jack stands. All right, let's start by getting this wheel off. All right guys, what we're going to do is go ahead and take off this cotter pin, remove that castle nut. I'm going to be using an impact to take it off, and it's actually a 27 millimeter. If you don't have an impact, what you need is another person. All they need to do is hop in and just hold the brakes, and then you can break this castle nut loose. All right, you're going to have two washers to keep up with, and you also want to note which direction they came out because they're actually a beveled edge, and they're going to need to go back the same way they came out. At that point, we can take off the caliper assembly, and that's just going to be a couple of 15 millimeter bolts. All right, with that off, I want to go ahead and zip tie it up out of the way because I don't want it to hang by its brake line. Then we can get to the steering arm. You actually have another cotter pin that needs to be taken out, and it goes through the center of the bolt. Just need a couple of 15 millimeters here, hold it up at the top, and take it off. And then the lower and upper control arm. Same thing, another 15 millimeter. Get that bottom one to release. All right, we've got everything except the drive axle. Let's see if we can get it to back out. There we go. All right, before we can press it out, we need to remove the circlip. Just need a pair of circlip pliers to do that. There we go. Now we just need to pick out a driver that will fit inside the hub, and then we're going to press it out. Now the other important piece is we need a cup to go on this end that's bigger than the bearing itself, so the bearing has a place to go. This should be big enough to handle it. Tell you what, let's look at our new bearing, make sure it's going to be big enough. Yeah, just barely, but it'll be able to drive the old one into this cup. All right, let's see if we can get this thing pushed out. Always that when it first breaks it loose, it's a very satisfying sound. There she goes. Next, we want to clean out where the bearing was riding on the inside of this hub. It's very important to get this clean because we need the bearing to seat all the way down. Otherwise, it won't seat, and then you will not get that snap ring back in place. And once we've got it clean, then we're going to coat it down with red Loctite, and then use that same cup to where it's got a flat surface to press that new bearing in. We also want to change out which bearing driver we were using, and with this we want to drive the outside of the bearing. So we do not want to do this because that'll be pushing on the inner race. So we're going to go with this one a little bit bigger that goes all the way out to the outside of the bearing. That's it. You hear that sound. All right, she is in place, looking good. Let's get that circlip back in. Pull it all the way in. And there we go. All right, let's head back over and get it put back together. All right, guys, we've got everything cleaned up. What we want to do is go ahead and put some grease on our splines, because if and when you do have to take this axle back apart, you don't want it to be rusted, because I've dealt with that before and it's not a lot of fun. So do not skip this step. Also add grease around here, because it's actually going to go to the inside of the race on the bearing. Now when you're using all this grease, do not get it on the rotor, because as you can imagine, grease and rotors, well, they don't play well together. All right, guys, we've got everything greased back up. Let's go ahead and put our hub back together, and then we're going to feed the CV joint through, and then start working on our upper and lower control arms. Get that bolt in, and half the battle's already won now. So let's go ahead and do the lower. You want to make sure that you've got it where it'll go through that grooved edge of the actual ball joint. All right, we're going to get these snug down first and then torque them to 42 foot-pounds. That's it. Next, we can go ahead and get our steering control arm on. We're going to set it to 40 foot-pounds. There we go. Now, don't forget to put this little cotter pin in. Next, we want to go ahead and get the caliper assembly put back on. Just going to cut it loose. And I want to go ahead and push the pistons back in to where I've got enough wiggle room to get it over the rotor. Next, before you put on your caliper bolts, you want to go ahead and get some blue Loctite on them. Then we're going to torque them to 30 foot-pounds. Next, let's address the castle nut that goes on the end of our half shaft. Now remember, when we took off these two washers, they had a beveled edge to them. You want to make sure that that bevel is facing inward. Next, you need to get somebody to hop up and hold the brakes. That way we can get this torqued down to 80 foot-pounds. All right, let's get our cotter pin back in. And the way Polaris does this, they just go straight through and they actually bend up both tabs and press it against the end. All right, guys, we're getting really close to finishing up. So let's go ahead and get the tower on. All right, guys, we've got them snug down. Let's drop it down on the ground and go ahead and set them to 120 foot-pounds. Well, all right, guys, that wraps this one up. Well, listen, if you need any parts for your machine, why don't you come see us at Partzilla.com and we can get you taken care of. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the section below and I'll do my best to answer them. Till next time, we just want to say thank you for shopping here with us at Partzilla. And if you like what you see, why don't you hit that subscribe button over here. Until the next video, we just want to say thank you. Have a great day.